There's a kind of silence that creeps into a man's life without warning. A woman who used to light up at his messages, who reached out late at night just to hear his voice, who made him feel like he mattered. She goes quiet. No texts, no calls. And when he finally reaches out, what comes back is cold, clipped, and delayed. He starts turning it over in his mind. Did he say something wrong? Did she lose interest? Is she playing a game? Is this some kind of test? That uncertainty is its own kind of weight. And in that vulnerable moment, most men make a mistake that costs them everything. They push harder. They send message after message. They call too many times. They pour their feelings into long, anxious paragraphs. They practically beg for her to come back. And every time they do this, she drifts further away. Here's what most men never figure out. The moment a woman starts pulling back, it's not what she did that determines the outcome. It's how he responds to it. So let's get into the real psychology here. Why a woman goes distant, what's actually happening beneath that silence, and what a man must do when it happens, because the answer is going to surprise most people. Women almost never go quiet without a reason. Something is always moving under the surface. One of the most common reasons is that she's quietly measuring his emotional stability. When a woman has feelings for someone, she'll sometimes pull back, not always deliberately, to see whether he holds himself together or falls apart the moment she's less available. It's not a manipulation tactic so much as it's a deeply rooted instinct. She's drawn to steadiness, not anxiety. Sometimes she distances herself because she's grown comfortable, maybe too comfortable. If a man has been too available, too easy to predict, she starts wondering whether he truly values himself or whether her attention is the thing holding him together. If he panics and chases when she steps back, he answers that question in the worst possible way. Other times, she's not thinking about him at all. She's processing something inside herself. Women carry emotions deeply, and when life becomes overwhelming or something has stung her, she retreats inward. If a man can't respect that space, she doesn't see sensitivity. She sees selfishness. And yes, sometimes she's weighing her options. She may be thinking about whether he's the right one, whether what they have is what she wants. It's uncomfortable to hear, but it's real. How a man carries himself during that uncertainty will either make him more valuable in her eyes or erase him entirely. There's also a version of this where her pulling away is a quiet challenge. Not a game, but a genuine question she's asking without words. Is he a man who requires constant reassurance? Or is he grounded enough in himself that he doesn't need her to be present every moment to feel secure? When men don't understand this, they fall into the same trap every time. They believe if they just communicate more, if they explain themselves clearly enough, if they show her how deeply they care, she'll soften. But that's not how attraction works for women. She doesn't fall for words under pressure. She falls for how a man makes her feel, and nothing drains that feeling faster than desperation does. When a man chases a woman who's already stepping back, here's what she experiences. She sees someone who needs her more than she needs him, someone who unravels under emotional discomfort, someone whose inner life depends entirely on her mood. And once she loses respect, attraction doesn't linger. It leaves. So what should a man actually do when a woman ignores him and pulls away? He should do nothing, not out of spite, not as a tactic to manipulate her into coming back, but out of genuine calm and self-possession. Just silence. Steady, confident, and unforced. Think about what that communicates. When she goes quiet and he doesn't spiral, when there's no flood of messages, no desperate calls, no emotional ultimatums, she receives a message louder than anything he could have typed. She sees that his sense of peace doesn't live inside her. She sees that he respects her enough to give her room. She sees that he has control over his own emotional world, and she sees that he isn't afraid of losing her, which is perhaps the most attractive quality a man can possess. And here's what's interesting about female psychology. When a woman realizes a man is calm enough to let her go, she starts to wonder, if he's not chasing me, maybe he doesn't need me the way I assumed. Maybe he has more going on than I thought. Maybe I underestimated him. That wonder draws her back in ways that begging never could. Consider this. A man meets a woman and for a while things feel electric. Constant contact, real conversations, a genuine connection building. And then, without explanation, she pulls away. He panics. He writes messages asking what he did wrong, telling her he misses her, asking her please to talk to him. And each time he reaches out, she grows colder until he finally decides he's done. Not out of anger, but out of self-respect. He stops reaching. He puts his energy back into his own life, his fitness, his friendships, his ambitions. He carries himself with quiet dignity. Then, weeks later, her name appears on his screen. A casual message, a little surprised tone, wondering why she hasn't heard from him. That shift happened because she expected the chase to continue. When it didn't, something in her recalibrated. She felt his value go up because he had the inner strength to stop running towards someone who was walking away. When a man pulls back and holds his ground, one of two things follows. Either she returns, pulled back by curiosity, by renewed respect, by the memory of who he was before he started chasing, or she doesn't come back at all. And if she doesn't, then she was never going to stay regardless. But he walks away with his self-respect intact. He stayed in control of himself. He didn't shrink. And that version of himself is the one that opens the door to something far better. The deeper truth underneath all of this is that women aren't drawn to men who collapse under the weight of silence. They're drawn to men who remain grounded when things get uncertain, that pull towards strength, towards steadiness, toward a man who leads himself. It's woven into how women experience attraction. So the next time a woman goes cold and quiet, the answer isn't to chase, to explain, or to plead. The answer is to hold still, to honor the distance, to return your focus to your own life and your own worth. Because the moment a man stops running after someone, he starts becoming the kind of man worth running toward. A woman pulling away isn't the end of something. It's a reflection. It shows a man whether he's operating from a place of neediness or from a place of inner strength. Most men fail that reflection. They chase, and in doing so, they lose. But the man who truly understands how this works knows that sometimes the most powerful thing he can do is nothing at all. Because when he stops pursuing her, he gives her the space to actually miss him. When he stays quiet, she hears it more clearly than she ever heard his words. And when he values himself enough to release his grip, he becomes someone she simply cannot stop thinking about. Stay calm, stay silent, stay rooted in yourself. That's where the real strength lives. If this spoke to something you've been through, share it with someone who needs to hear it.